A jogger murdered in New York Central Park. A little girl gunned down in her family's car in Los Angeles.
A judge has sentenced 2 boys for killing another child who refused to steal candy for them.
There's a tidal wave of juvenile violent crime right over the horizon.
And some who study it say the worst is yet to come.
Life in the 1990s was dominated by a sense that youth violence was out of control. The future looked bleak. To explain why, one word said it all.
Super predators.
Some social scientists and criminologists looked at the data and saw doom. They stepped out of their ivory towers and into the public arena to sound the alarm about a coming wave of kids who were going to ravage the country.
A super predator is a young juvenile criminal who is so impulsive, so remorseless, that he can kill, rape, maim without giving it a second thought.
The prediction was terrifying offenders.
This country went into a moral panic over super predators. And you would hear about this case.
By now, nearly all of us know the story of Robert Sandifer.
There was a sense that the country writ large was going to hell in a handbasket. No one had a clear idea of what to do.
Political scientist John DiIulio taught at Princeton University and had done extensive research in prisons studying the criminal justice system. From 1984 to 1994, when Sandifer was killed, teenage homicide rates had more than doubled. DiIulio looked at studies that estimated that by 2000, there would be 1 million more teens between the ages of 14 and 17, and he predicted crime rates would snowball even more.
You'd have a doubling or a tripling in the rate of youth violence in the time between the mid-90s and up to through mid-2000s.
Perhaps most troubling to DiIulio was what he saw as an indication that the small percentage of kids who commit the most violent crimes would be much more destructive than the generation before them.
Studies found that essentially 6% of every male youth cohort was responsible for about 50% of all the violent crimes committed by that cohort. That small fraction of people is going to be able to wreak incredible havoc.
DiIulio wasn't the only one predicting a surge in crime.
By the year 2005, we may very well have a bloodbath of teenage violence.
Northeastern University criminologist James Fox says his choice of words was deliberate.
I did sound an alarm, and I did use some rather strong language in terms of what might happen if we didn't react quickly.
Fox and DiIulio felt compelled to call attention to this perceived problem, and rhetoric proved the most powerful arrow in their quiver. DiIulio, an Ivy League academic from South Philadelphia, wrote this article for the Weekly Standard in 1995.
The term super predator originated from an inmate who said, as almost a throwaway line, he said, these kids, they're stone cold predators.
And like a match to a flame, the word caught on.
Super predator, predator, predators, super predators.
Linguist Ben Zimmer studies language and culture.
When you use a word like predator, it is loaded with certain assumptions about the way that an animal hunts another animal. And so to call someone a super predator really amps that up even more.
We're talking about a group of kids who are growing up essentially fatherless, godless, and jobless.
DiIulio says that he wasn't pointing to any particular half of these juvenile super predators could be young black males.
Race was the central issue. That as the number of minority children, principally African American, but also Latino children, that to the extent that that number was increasing in the society, with them would come a big crime increase.
What's required in moral panic is the identification of a particular group of people who are demonized in some way.
When you describe another group as godless, you can do anything to them.
Spur on the overhaul of a legal system they considered too lax.
Kids that once stole hubcaps now rape and murder. No fear of punishment. Experts call them super predators.
There are no violent offenses that are juvenile. You rape somebody, you're an adult. You shoot somebody, you're an adult.
Virtually every state, almost 45 states, enacted laws cracking down on juvenile offenders, making it easier to prosecute youth in adult criminal courts, increase penalties.
But at the same time the laws were being enacted,